Welcome. Thank you for joining me today for our Beyond the Shelf story and activity time. My name is Mary Ann Wright, and I'm a 4-H area educator for Lincoln University Cooperative Extension. Today, we are going to be reading The House on Dirty 3rd Street. This book is written by Joe S. Kittinger and illustrated by Thomas Gonzalez. Let's go ahead and get started. The House on Dirty 3rd Street. Mom said starting over would be an adventure, so I imagined a tropical island with palm trees and buried treasure. Not this. All the houses on 33rd Street were old and run down. But the one with the for sale sign was the worst. I'd call the whole place Dirty 3rd Street. It's perfect, said Mom. It doesn't look perfect to me, I said. It's perfect, she said, because we can afford it. Try looking at it through eyes of faith, said Mom. I squinted and tilted my head. It still looks horrible to me. Soon the house on Dirty 3rd Street was ours. But before we could start moving things in, we had to move trash out. A neighbor watched from her front yard. Hi there, Mom called out to her. I've hired a man to take a load to the dump. Is there anything you'd like to add to our trash pile? I don't know. The woman sounded like she hadn't trusted anyone in years. Before long, Mom and I were wrestling an old sofa from Mrs. Huddle's front porch to the curb. By the end of the day, word had spread. The pile in front of our house became a mountain. The bathroom was so filthy, it made shimmers run down my back. It will look and smell better when it's clean, Mom told me. So all day Saturday, we swept and scrubbed. I was dog-tired and grouchy. Clearing away the trash and dirt just made it obvious how ugly the place truly was. This house will never look good, I mumbled. You may be right, said Mom. She sank to the floor in the corner. What was I thinking? I slumped down beside her and leaned my head against her shoulder. Remind me, I said. How did you see it? I saw a pretty white house with blue shutters, said Mom. There were flowers on the front porch. The windows sparkled and the curtains danced in the breeze. The kitchen was full of friends and I smelled cookies hot from the oven. Mom's eyes got dreamy looking. Then she shook her head. I miss our old neighborhood, she said, and my friends from church. We could make new friends. I stood up and dusted myself off. I saw a church a few blocks away. Let's go in the morning. After breakfast, we walked to the church. In Sunday school, the teacher asked if anyone had prayer requests. We just moved here and our house needs lots of work, I said. I don't want Mom to cry anymore. Please pray that she can still see the house with eyes of faith and that somehow I can see it that way too. Not long after we got home, I heard a knock at the door. Good afternoon, ma'am, a man said when Mom opened the door. At church this morning, I heard you could use some help around here. Mom was showing him the broken bricks on the porch when Mrs. Huddle walked across the street. "Thought these might cheer things up," she said. "Once upon a time, my flowers used to bloom on near about every porch in this neighborhood." Mrs. Huddle started transplanting the flowers into an old cement planter in the yard. A few minutes later, a car pulled up. Next thing I knew, a whole family was headed our way, including my Sunday school teacher and a girl my age. "Welcome to the neighborhood," my teacher said. "My husband's a great handyman." The man took one look at the peeling paint and then pulled out his cell phone. "Let me get a few more folks over here," he said. By the next weekend, our house looked like an anthill. Men were on the roof and hammering shingles. My new friends and I scraped peeling paint. A lady fixed loose bricks on the porch. Another neighbor worked on the plumbing. The sun settled behind our house and the workers took a break. I opened the door and the smell of cookies, hot from the oven, made my mouth water. Finally, I could see it. Our place as Mom had, through eyes of faith. We had found our perfect home. And somehow, I knew that I wouldn't call it Dirty 3rd Street anymore. So, I hope you guys like this book. One of the reasons I picked this book today is because it's all about making the best of the situation we're in. And a lot of us are at home a lot now and might be bummed about that. You might get a little down because you don't have the opportunity to go play with your friends or go to school. And so this book teaches us that, with a little bit of faith and a little bit of work, we can turn something that might be a little grungy into something great. So today we are going to make a craft that is really taken from Miss Huddle in the book. Can anybody remember what Miss Huddle brought over to the house to make it a little bit brighter? So she brought some flowers. So today we're going to make our own flower garden that we can put up in our own windows. So I'm going to move the camera just a little bit so you can see all of the materials as I'm working. So here we go. Okay, so you don't need very many things for this activity. And the first thing you need is some paper. So just some colored paper will do, any color you would like. You also need a skewer or a drinking straw. You can even use a pipe cleaner or something like that. Then you're going to need a pair of scissors, a hole punch, and a pencil. So that's not very many things, and so I'm hoping you have them all right in your house. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a template for our flower. And what a template is, it's just something that we use to make the real flower, the real project. So what I used is an index card, but you can use a regular piece of paper. And what I did, I just cut it to the size that I wanted. So I made sure that it wasn't too big. We want it just a few inches across, and we want it a little bit longer than a normal flower would be. And what I did is I folded it in half, long ways, so it sort of looks like a hot dog fold. And I cut a rounded edge on one side, and on the other side I did a zigzag edge. So then when you open it up, it's going to look like a flower. Okay, so this is going to be your template. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take this and put it on your real piece of paper. So whatever paper you really want to use. So I'm going to use this fun patterned paper here. I'm going to take it, I'm going to take my template, and I'm just going to trace it. Okay, so put it on your paper. You're going to trace it all the way around here. And then I'm going to cut it out. So take your time cutting. If you need some help cutting it, make sure to ask somebody at your house, another adult or an older sibling that might be home. And then, once you get your flower cut, and remember it can be any style of flower. I just chose this tulip type because it was really easy for me to cut out. So you can choose a different one if you would like. Now the next step is going to be making accordion folds in our flower. If you don't know what that is, an accordion fold goes back and forth. So our very first fold, I'm going to fold the bottom of my flower up just a little bit. So you see there, it's just a little fold up. And then I'm going to take it, I'm going to fold the reverse way. So I'm going to go back, and now I'm going to fold like this. So see, it has an accordion. So we're going to keep going until our whole paper is folded back and forth. So there. So it's going to look something like this when you get finished. Now next we need to make our hole in our flower so the stem can go through. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take every piece of folded paper except the very top part. I don't want to take this very top part and put a hole through it, but I'm going to put a hole through the rest of it. So I'm going to take my hole punch and I'm going to punch that hole. So as you can see, I have a hole now through every part of my paper except for this top of the flower. And now all you need is a skewer or a pencil or a straw, and you're going to take that and you're going to thread it right through your flower. And because of the folds, it sort of holds the skewer in place, so I don't even need any kind of tape or glue for that. But if you want to secure that on the back, you can just put a little dot of glue or a little bit of tape. Now if you use a straw, you might need to make a couple of holes right beside each other for your straw to fit through your paper. But when you do, you'll have something like this. So I did an example of one with a straw. So you can see on my piece of paper, I sort of had to make 3 smaller holes right next to each other so that those would fit through. Once you get a flower or 2, you're ready to display them. So you can do this in a variety of ways. So if you have some sort of jar, you can add those to a jar there. I put just some beans in the middle or in the bottom of it to hold it up a little bit, so you can do that. Or you can just put them directly in your windowsill. So let's go over to my window and you can see what that looks like. So there, I just put them directly on the glass there. You can see. And those flowers will look pretty from the outside and from the inside, and it kind of just brightens up the house a little bit. So I thought this was a fun activity to do while we're stuck at home, but there are lots of other ideas that you can do to make your house feel a little bit warmer during this time. Maybe you'll make cookies, or maybe you can help with cleaning. So we're making sure that we're staying in a nice clean environment while we're stuck indoors and can't go to school. So I just want everybody to remember that let's make the best of this situation, just like the story did, and let's turn our dirty 3rd Street into the house that we really want. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.